I'm in the center frame. Yeah.
Assalamualaikum. I hope you're live on Facebook right now. Hello, everyone. This is Hasnan Abbas from Pakistan Society for Training and Development. This is our second program today because we do this program every Friday at 5 o'clock. We have industry experts, we have subject matter experts, we have consultants, we have trainers, we have people from leadership positions locally and internationally who we invite them and discuss topic and issues and ideas every week. So thank you so much for joining us. PSTD was founded by Mia Anisab in the year 1966, so it's more than 5 decades now that we've been the pioneer for learning and development for professionals. Today, our topic is leading teams and managing processes in the new era, in the new normal, post COVID-19. Our guest today is one of the gentlemen from leadership position, and let me invite him, Mr. Shakeel Mapara. How are you, Shakeel sir?
Fine, thank you. Can you hear me well?
Yes, first class, Zabardast. क्या हाल चाल है आपके?
Very tired, as you know that I look very tired. The whole day is on the calls, so basically it's not running around in the office, but sitting at the seats the whole day, and your mind is running around. So you hardly get a chance to get up and go somewhere because in between everybody's blocked you on the call. So it's like a roller coaster on the seat. It's like an 8 hours journey on an aeroplane on an economy seat, which is not even an economy, which is like your dining chair seat. So you can imagine how it is. So it is like, and you imagine when you're going on those jump seats with the air hostesses sit down and you're just working and typing the whole time, 8 hours. So this is where I am.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking time for us, Pakistan Society for Training and Development. You've always supported us, you've always added value, and you've always guided us through the things that we've been. Shakeel Saab, let me introduce a little bit to our viewers about you. Shakeel Mapara Saab has been contributing to the HR fraternity. Shakeel Saab, I have been following you since I was a student. I used to attend your programs. I also remember you visited our university. That was almost 8 to 9 years back. So I've always been following you. In fact, people like you are the ones who inspired me to join human resource development and learning and development. Shakeel Mapara Saab has been the HR head at American Express Bank and Travel. And for the last couple of years, he's been at Sanofi Aventis as the director of HR. So, Shakeel Saab, your track record of being an HR professional, you are intrinsically motivated also to add value at organizations, to students, and the entire HR fraternity. You've been speaking. I've seen you at a lot of forums also. So the topic for today is leading teams and managing processes in the new normal post COVID-19. So that's the topic that we're going to be discussing today. So let's start with how has it been for you in the last 3 months?
Usually when I've been training, it's been about getting a change done and you accept the change. And we say it takes time and you've got to have acceptability and understanding and then the buy-in and all the change curve. This change curve happened overnight. And so you have to adapt it. And of course, like human beings, we are all. So we have to adapt it. So it happened overnight. I'm not the type that I would work from home every day. And although we started introducing the flexibility policy already in our company, that people can work from home for 1 day in a week or once a month, so that you can concentrate and write emails and all that. But now, suddenly overnight, everything was Zoom calls. So initially, of course, it was a very difficult thing. And those are the challenges which everyone must have faced. It's like 9 to 5 blocked on the calls. Then, of course, the lockdown had happened. And, of course, there were grocery timings. So your family had to go out and get this thing done. Many kids, of course, are taking classes online. And in many homes, the internet got shared also. So it became a tense situation. And, of course, your family started thinking that, you're at home. So here is a time, let's have a cup of tea or let's go out, but it's not like this. Slowly things have got settled out, but there is a discomfort and there was a trauma, but the change that we accepted very fast. And we hoped, and everybody cooked and sang songs and posted different things. And I see that curve going down a little bit because that all excitement is now going down. Where am I going? So I think the same feeling of anxiety is bringing up that when we open up the offices, what will happen? So a lot of leaders, a lot of consultants have actually given a lot of answers. And that is that should work from home become the norm, the new normal forever? Is it like this that only youngsters or older generations have different mindsets? But I think I've spoken to different people and I find it's not about the generation, it's about personality types, it's about the personal touch, the people having to get together for training programs, for meetings. But yes, this is going to be the new normal because if the situation of COVID continues, even in a lesser threatening way, we still will have to be very cautious for at least a year and a half. And that will impact the way we do business and the way we are working together. So those are some aspects of anxiety. And as we open the offices, as and when they open, some offices are already open, like the plants and essential drugs and shops and groceries, so people are not changing. So there is a fear from that end, people walking in, and also there's a fear from the people who are going to go. So that's how. Otherwise, it's good, enjoyable, but at the same time, taxing. So it's not that going to be enjoyable if it continues. And I would really like to get up from the chair and go to people and meet people. So kind of a little boring. So I was reading somewhere, I think from Australia, there was an article saying it's okay to say you're not okay. So people should not worry about it because people are a lot of worried about, okay, if I say I'm not feeling happy, the company might say, oh, fine, you're off the job. It's not like that. Express your feeling. So this is what happening.
So Shakeel, you're meeting people, you're talking to people in your organization, you're also connected with people around. For people, the millennials, the youth, and the ones who are experienced people, the non-millennials, is there a difference of opinion on the way things are going? Is the youth comfortable the way it's going, like work from home continuously? What is their opinion? What are they saying?
Well, once I did a survey, and it was some time back, 2-3 years, with all the students that were interned with us, and then I asked them to do. So, good handful of 400 interns, students got participating in that. And one or two questions were: do you like flexibility of timing from 9 to 5? And surprisingly, the engineers and the pharmacists, because they work at the plant, they said they would like 9 to 5. Other than that, they said we like MBA. What about the work from home totally? I don't think so. Everybody wants work from home 100%. It's going to be a hybrid in the future. And I think whether it's millennial or it's any generation, they need touch. They need personal, being there, to have an emotional bonding, to have a professional bonding. So being at home and sitting at that desk, it will not work. Well, the new normal is going to be like this. It's not going to be 100% offices open. And we will have a blend of that. And I found out that younger people that do like the flexibility of timing, but not totally work from home. And solely is against the other generations as well. So not much, and that also takes into account the personality types. But somehow we are being forced into work from home and a hybrid situation for everyone. And again, I'd like to endorse my views from a BBC report that was talking to youngsters of 16, 17, 18 years old and 19. And how did they feel? And they were missing their friends. They wanted to get out. They wanted to go to have coffee somewhere. So you see, it's not about that. You talk about older generation, and they also want to go to the malls and they want to meet people. So it's that feeling, and it's the human aspect that we do need human around us. But from a work aspect, from a professional aspect, of course, it will be a mix. It will be a hybrid in the future, which everybody will have to accept it. And I think that will be acceptable, not 100% at the office and not 100% at home.
So a good balance, the hybrid approach. Great. Shakeel, let's start with one of the dimensions of key dimensions of human resource management, which is, say, for example, recruitment, taking people on board. how I've seen a couple of organizations who've had their ads posted online that they're taking online assessments, onboarding people. So how will the orientation process be like now? Because when I joined, whenever I join a new organization, so there's a proper induction process. I sit in a classroom for a couple of days. I learn the processes. I meet people. I do. For my first organization, we had to do our interpersonal adventures. It was like a format that needed to be followed to go to people, talk to them, at a personal level, at a professional level, learn from them, to get acquainted with the organization and the culture. That's the process. What about the students that recently graduated, looking forward to go to organizations, and if once they get in, how will they now be onboarded, and how will they adjust to the culture?
Well, I see some of the companies are have introduced online virtual internship programs, which is very good. And I also see that people are recruiting also within this COVID environment. And I've been interviewing people for our plant operations, especially. Everything is online. Nothing has gone personal, with one. So we do have now. So yes, everybody is advertising online because now everything will be interviews will be done online. Your orientation might get also online, and those who are joining the plants, of course, then HR is there. They will help to guide you and all that. So the students will have to follow that. Now the question is that how can you exhibit or present yourself better? So we always used to teach people, you see, how to prepare for an interview call. And in an environment like this, when you're going to give calls, and especially to the students who are going to give interviews on a screen, on a computer, they have to be very careful. How do they look? What's the background like? What's the level of the computer? What are they saying? What are their body language, their eye contact? And so is the interviewer also has to be very observant. So the skills have to be sharpened when I pick up a student, because I'm not going to see his body language is out, but I said the face is the main thing. So both ends is the challenge. And it's not just about the student and the employer. It's also about the employee and the customer, because most of it is going to go on Zoom calls, whether it's whatever the product is. So I think we have to reskill our people in interviewing, in selling, in interacting, in managing performance, in giving coaching and feedback, because this is going to be a constant thing. And how do we do that? So how do we manage that quality aspect? Because we don't get a wrong person in it. Still, it would have been wonderful if it had been a face-to-face interview, because no matter what you say, the face-to-face interview is always, takes the number one lead, and I always believe in that. But we have to manage this way. So we have to reskill the people who are interviewing, who are selling. And people have to get digitalized. And this is for the student, like you said. They will have to get digital savvy. They'll have to practice interviews in front of their cameras. They make sure that the light is fine. What do they answer? What's going on in the background? So, most of the time, if I'm interviewing the candidates, for example, the camera is like this, and the face is in the camera. So the positioning is not good. And that's why I cannot make out. So yes, those are the challenges. And this is my advice to learn more aspects of these skills. And since everything is going to be now through applications, or at least a hybrid approach, people in the organizations must learn the accurate and the appropriate language to be spoken on Zoom and to be written on WhatsApp or whatever the medium that we use.
Okay. And one more thing, Shakeel, you were at a senior position at a very reputable multinational organization, and I've worked with multiple clients. We, as learning and development professionals, facilitate programs whereby we we play the role of a catalyst to build teams and cultures, give out those messages. So it used to be a lot easier to take people out to Bourbon in a hotel, make them sit together, and share their thoughts and ideas and have a good time together. Those were employee engagement activities among a few that we used to conduct. Also, for organizations internally, there are a lot of activities that they do to engage the people, have festivals together, bring people together, have town halls. In this new situation and the new format of working, How do you suggest people are, being able to cope?
Basically, it's a challenge, a huge challenge, and I won't say it will be easy. Our Pakistani culture, or the Eastern culture, I would say more on Pakistan. People like to be together while they are training and where they are developing or their workshops, and then they go outside, have some samosas and teas, and come back and have lunch and interact with each other. So that's more fun. And in the West, a lot of people also are very tuned since a long time doing iLearn courses. And we have a iLearn, but iLearn also has a limit to understanding and a limit to basically your own interest. So it's not just that you continue forcing people that they will just go to the iLearn and do that. You have to understand different personalities, the way they learn, their learning agilities, and the way they have been brought up, whether they are audio, visual, or what, or they want to meet people and then. So those things are important when we are going to be. I mean, we can tick box that I have got so many people really got iLearn, and we also do the same thing. That so many people have done so many iLearn courses, and we are forcing people to do it because there is no other choice. But whenever we do open, and hopefully, inshallah, in the next 1 year's time, or when we are fully operational outside, then we should have these sessions. Till that time, leaders or HR, especially HR, has a big challenge. And HR has a challenge to make this drive, this new culture drive. When we get back to the office, especially people working in head office or in sales, or they are not working somewhere else, and even the people who are working at the plant who are going right now, same thing applies to them. There are cases of COVID environment in everybody's family or friends that we know. It's as close as that. So we are going through a very inconvenient, painful atmosphere, and there is a stress already. And therefore, when we are going to the office, it is with the stress, it is with the trauma. The leaders need to understand that how they need to manage these people, because there's no movie shows or no picnic programs, and nothing going to happen. So on a day-to-day basis, the leaders and HR have to be very sensitive to this trauma, and especially those people who are going to go back to the head offices after 3 months, or 2 months, or 4 months, and then again they will be work from home, not fully there. So the leaders have to understand two aspects of communicating transparently and empathy. That is empathy to basically how do I regulate myself to show understanding. Not that we listen two ways. We listen to employees, especially who will come back with a trauma and or these burdens in our mind. Ke, "Khuda na khasta kuch ho jaye mujhe, what will happen to me? Maybe that person is also having. Let me wear a mask." So that fear element is also going to be there, and that is a time that you should listen to understand what the employee is saying, not listen to just respond. I mean, you can hear and respond. So the empathy part has to be there. So those activities, which did away a lot of providing motivation and engagement activities, for example, outdoor picnic, training outside, offsite meetings, even gathering at the office, coffee shops, all those things have to be implemented with the leader's ability. And therefore, whatever, the HR has to give it a key driver along with the leaders, that they have to understand that the environment has changed. Even they are working throughout the COVID environment, especially the plant and especially the shop people, the small businesses, the residential. People are getting more and more stressed out as they hear more news of COVID environment, more coronavirus spreading, more fear developing, more frustration at home coming up because the family is still there and the kids want to get out and they really are fed up sitting at home, and not many entertainment after 6 o'clock is dead. This is causing stress. And yet we expect people to smile in the morning. So, and that's very good to do that. So leaders have to take care. And if you're looking at business efficiency, and if you're looking at growth, then let's not focus on the numbers. We focus on basically people's own culture and their own ability, leaders' ability to empathize with people, to understand, to take them along, to develop the trust. You will see the business comes automatically. Because now the business flow is also different. The customer are expecting simpler, faster ways of doing it. Some customers are rigid. They want to follow the rigid traditional way, but we are fearful. We don't want to go to them because of the corona aspect. We don't know what's going to happen. Some customers are open, and we have to provide them the support of being digitally connected and so on and so forth. So decisions, how we take them, how we drive the business, is critical. And therefore, the fun element that was engaging, like you said, will come from leaders. And of course, it's like one-to-one calls, 6, 7, just connect calls, just gossip calls, just a singing calls, just make it more friendly. This is the maximum that you can do. So this is where I would suggest you.
Recently, I was in touch with one of our clients who shared their experience with us. So what they're doing with their teams is they're celebrating, recreating events, virtual events such as the mango festival. So you can get a couple of mangoes, they're gifting mangoes, getting them delivered to their homes for people who are working from home, and they create fruit desserts and they share it online, and they take a picture and post it on their community such as WhatsApp groups or Facebook for workplace. So this is among a few ways that they're engaging their people, catalyze the communication process. And they're also creating events to, maybe engaging their families, take a family picture, the entire family sitting and they're, talking to their team lead and they're sharing experiences and what's happening. Because for my family and for the kids, it's obviously very exciting to talk to dad's team. उनके ऑफिस से लाइव कॉल होने वाली है और हम बात करेंगे or maybe sing a song, share experiences, share pictures. So there's a lot that's happening out there, and I'm glad.
Absolutely, this is true. We also like a weekly magazine goes out as a best practice, which is a digital magazine, and we ask people to contribute, take pictures with their families. What have they cooked? What have they learned? So somebody's doing gardening, somebody's doing whatever they want to expect. And then we have a singing competition on the call. We also have these different people, trying to bring in that they've done this piece of painting. That's good. All is good. How long will we continue doing this? Yes, this is the new normal, but at the same time, remember the business has to go on, and the organizations are also there is a P&L to meet. How best we can meet that P&L? Of course, it's looking at the customer, how fast we can move to digitalization and train people to get on board, and how much that we can change our leadership patterns and behavior to engage people. Because remember, this is all good, but at the end of the day, there is an organization, there is one box in the Excel which says dollars. What is that dollars going up or down? Because if my leader disengages me every day, make sure that I'm sitting from 9 to 5. If I'm disengaged, I'm not efficient. And if I'm not efficient, it will impact the business. Therefore, it is the leader's aspects on doing these things to understand very good, to cater for those gaps or those musical workshops and all that, but focus on their leadership to driving the business. And they have to be very careful. So respect element, empathy, the way our language is spoken on the phone is very important. If your leader is shouting at his employee on the phone or on the Zoom, his family is sitting down there. Imagine the embarrassment that the employee has. It is a pity. And therefore, these things have to be avoided. So you have to ask the employee if you want to give a feedback, and I sit alone or something like that. So, on the Zoom, you have to be very careful.
Yeah, I agree there. Shakeel, now that we've touched employee engagement and the challenges and opportunities and the role of leaders there, let's move on to performance. Are the team leads, the leadership, are they finding it difficult to manage performance, having those performance questions? Because this time of the year, this is where we have to share feedback and we have to review the performance. So how do you see that happening?
Again, I always strongly believe that there are three main areas where people come in. That you goal setting कर दी और फिर mid-year पे आप review दे दें और year end पे दे दें. But as a professional, I will say that all leaders, all supervisors should be able to give the feedback all the time, whether it's good or bad. And employees must be ready to take it, rather than कि मैं बैठूंगा and I'll wait for my mid-year and year end. Now, the art of giving performance remains the same. Then how do I give it? Very clear feedback. And how do I take on my employees, review them, to give them the positive and the negative part. Now, when you are assessing people on feedback, like I said, on performance interview, it is not very easy on the phone, on the Zoom, because you're not face to face and you're talking on the Zoom. If it's a negative message or you want to improve upon something, then like I said, it has to be very concentrated. much more focused than I think than real, because you cannot even have a coffee. You can ask him to get a coffee and we'll just have a coffee and a discussion. So those things should be more done on a Zoom rather than wait for video. In fact, it should be much more frequent, and those small feedbacks will make a difference. The worst is basically assessing talents. Now, in the office, when you go there, you meet several people, and when there is a talent committee or your boss asks other people, how do you think Hassan is? And they'll say, yes, I've seen him in the elevator, I've seen him in the canteen, and he's done a project with me, and I find him very good. But now nobody has seen you except your boss. So how do I convince? Even for a performance feedback, I will have to really call up someone who has worked with you. That how is that person doing, and what is that person's feedback? So all those things. So it is a little bit challenging, but listening skills have to improve literally. Empathizing on the phone, like I said, even for performance, and the way we do it, the time that we do it, and it should be much more frequently done. And very importantly, it should be in a very positive way. Remember, the employee is sitting at home. His family is there. There is everybody doesn't have 3-4 rooms. Somebody could be just sitting with 2 rooms. And the boss is trying to put down his weight that this is the goal, aapne ye nahi kiya aur aapne wo nahi kiya. So those things have to be avoided. So the performance sessions have to be very sensitively designed, but they must happen. You must give the feedback, and the employees must take the feedback. So that's what I'm saying. Reskilling ourselves, it's important.
Is it a few people that I've recently met also are discussing that their team leads, I mean the team leads of all departments are also at times, part of being biased as to being lenient due to the current situation, the stress is all there, the uncertainty of business, there's a new challenge every day. Should the team lead genuinely be lenient while having those performance conversations? अच्छा ठीक है ये नहीं हुआ तो वो समझ सकते हैं पिछले 3 महीने से क्या हो रहा है, let's move on. तो वो feedback sessions नहीं हो रहे, people are ignoring them just for the sake of formality हो रहे हैं. What do you have to say about that?
Well, let's look at the word lenient. The word lenient means, giving a relaxation, and the opposite is strict. So if I say yes, we'll say, oh, people should be lenient. If I said no, which means it is to be strict. So we have to define in between. I don't think lenient means the word I would use here is in between somewhere, is flexible. But like I said, the business has to go on. So the performance feedback has to be given, and we have to drive the processes. There will be interviews done online. There will be data collected online. There will be talent committees sitting online. There are plant operations which is happening physically. So there is a hybrid in all organizations who are actually in the manufacturing or supply chain. And therefore, lenient, I think one should be considerate. I would use the word, people should be very considerate and flexible. See the personality, see the person, and understanding each one of them is critical. Because if I'm sitting in my home, I'm driving the work done from 10 people across different locations. How do I expect them to work efficiently if I don't give them feedback? And if I do give them feedback, they should be very happy about it. But I should be flexible enough to understand if they have an issue, fair enough. If they come to me saying that, well, that person is also netting, why am I not being, so those understanding and those discussions should take place. So that's why I said the reskilling of leading people, of developing leadership, and also is a thin line. So you have to develop yourself on that. And then you will have data analytics to be relied quite a bit on it, whether it's marketing or financial or HR. And those data analytics are going to become the basis in the future. So that's why I'm saying leadership to be very careful. For example, the process that is going to be changed and it has to be changed. Do we need to relook at leave policies and flexibility? And do we need to look at, because work from home to already, but leave policy, should it be looked at? Sick policy, leave policy, because we're already at home. And people assume that you are at home. And therefore they say, yeah, chalo, weekend will be call karo. So there has to be lines drawn. At 5 o'clock, the office closes. But aisa nahi hai ki 9 to 5 bhi aap bitha ke rakhein. So when you say lenient, from your aspect, yes, the leaders need to be understanding about people's domain at home. This is not their office. and they are there. They need to get a time to relax. They need to go up. They need to freshen up. They don't want to switch on the camera sometime, which is okay. But by the way, you must open the camera, because otherwise you're talking in front of the laptop. Everybody's shut the camera. What's the use of those laptops? You can just conference call. You can have a conference call. And if I'm looking black spots or pictures, so at least 50% of the people should have the camera on. So at least you can see each other and make connections. It'll become de-stressing. But if there is a reason, that is not. So really coming back to the question, leniency, or can I use the word considerate, flexible? Yes, leaders need to understand that. However, the feedback and the business has to go on. How do we reshape or realign or reskill the way we manage people is important.
Thank you. Shakeel, now that we've covered employee engagement and performance management, what are your views on organizational culture now? Let's take a look at the pre-COVID definition of culture and the definition of culture now. Do you see any difference there?
You see, WhatsApp पे भी काफी has been going around, and you must be seeing that the last picture before the COVID had a lot of people together, कंधों में हाथ दिया हुआ, holding, jumping, and all like that. And suddenly there are no pictures in my camera except my selfies and all that. Now the environment of culture, hustling, bustling for myself, like I'm moving from one desk to the other, saying hello and meeting people at the elevator, talking to them. Somebody coming and telling me a joke in my ear. Now those things are going to be different. There are going to be 1/3 or less people in the office. People have to wear a mask. People have to be staying away with each other. No handshakes. And all the time we've been teaching in communications, you have to shake hands because it's important, and you have to smile. So if you're wearing a mask, you should still smile because your face can be seen behind it. But nevertheless, that cultural norms, that things are going. However, new values, in a sense, that of staying away from each other and yet being respectful, it's important. So the culture is going to be different. Like I said, people are going to come back and are going through a phase of trauma, of stress environment, from the news itself, from the family and the friends that they hear. And when they come, and those who come back to the office or go back to the sales force, suddenly with the change environment, people resistance, doctors, you go to the clinic, people are wearing masks, or you go to the you go to your own physician, and you find out that your doctor wants you to wear a mask to come in. You go to probably a play area, you will see in the park a lot of people wearing the mask, and with their kids also. You will go to, I don't know, when the malls will open, everybody will be wearing masks. Similarly, in the office environment, when we are having smaller meetings, when we are actually discussing things, people will be sitting far away. And then we have to respect people's aspects, that how they have felt, how they have come from home. It is the fear. The culture is going to change. The leadership changes, the culture changes. The way business, the way we are doing business and knowing the customer is now going to be important. For every industry, they should carry out their own surveys. What are their customers looking for? What are they? We cannot continue doing the business the way we were already doing. So I think there is a huge shift in the culture. Values remain the same. Competency behaviors remain the same. But importantly, how we actually bring them to life in an organization to meet the business environment, our personal goals, and our personal effectiveness is important.
We have one question from one of our viewers on Facebook, Mr. Shazir. He says, should organizations redefine the processes after the effects of Corona and all this work from home scenario, or should the same process should be followed?
No, like I said, some of the processes will have to be changed. Some of the way a lot of people have documentation processes. For example, signatories ka process hai. A lot of people will go into e-signatures, and it's not going to be so easy. It's up to e-signatures पे जाना पड़ेगा. But ये भी देखना पड़ेगा कि कौन सी organizations हैं, government की या non-government की, जो accept करती हैं e-signatures. The court of law accepts or not. So who's accepting, who's not accepting. So there will be a mix. So we have to take out procedures. We have to who will be responsible. You'll have to have backup. Perhaps other aspects is that processes on leave, like I discussed. कि leave की क्या policy होगी? Is it like can I take a half a day leave? But what do you mean by half a day leave? अगर मैं घर पे बैठा ही हूँ, so I'm just taking the calls off and on. Do I need to do that or not? So those policies have to be changed. Then, of course, other policies. The people who are going to work from home, some companies might start looking at the benefits. ये तो work from home कर रहे हैं, so why are we giving this benefit of entertaining customers, for example? Entertainment allowance है. Entertainment allowance तो हो एक साल के लिए. कोई clubs ही नहीं खुले हुए, hotels ही नहीं खुले हुए. So we should stop that. So those kind of policies will probably be looked at by the organizations, and rightly so also sometimes. So maybe that money can be used elsewhere to either increase the employee salary or bonuses, but the policies have to be used. I have a policy of let's say TADA, and which I get every month. ना भी travel करें तो but it's expected. But अगर नहीं होगा तो TADA नहीं मिलेगा. तो ये सारी policy जिन कंपनी में है वो different होंगी और audit के लिहाज से भी होगा. So traveling is going to be different. So travel policy will be different. How will we travel? And there will be more restrictions on your travel policy. What will you take along when you're traveling? Which hotels are going to stay? So all these policies are going to affect, and primarily. And by the way, already the processes have already changed during the environment. The governments have issued already orders that plant पे जो plants हैं या offices हैं, कोई vendor आए या कोई trucks आते हैं, आपकी textile factories हैं या industries हैं या दूसरे industries हैं, so they should be wearing there are SOPs that people should be wearing masks and gowns and disinfections. All these processes are going to take place, and so of course there is a cost to it, but at the same time there is a business that needs to be done. So those processes are being changed, and employees have to follow those procedures. And it takes some time. It's more laborious. So ये सारी छोटी administration, HR, IT, all those processes will have to change. And एक चीज बड़ी important है. Since we are going to go on digital applications, and like Shazeb said about the processes, the aspects of data protection becomes critical, and your employees have to be taught on what to be passed on outside and what not to be. And the cyber crime that was done. People are automatically posing themselves as employees or future employees or employers and fooling people. So we have to be very careful of these fake aspects. Plus, all employees have to be told again and again that digital links, web links, or your personal meeting links cannot be passed on. And if it is being used on personal computers at home, who's using them, and can those people enter, your family or friends can enter your company's domain or not. So those things are very important to be spelled out, and those are some processes which I feel have to be spelled out very strongly in the digital domain.
Right. Interesting. That's interesting. That's very necessary. We really need to rethink and reimagine the processes as of now, because it's been 4 months now that we're in this, and people are learning. Shakeel, what about individuals? Individuals who are as individual contributors or people managers for their personal development. What are your suggestions? Because you've been talking about reskilling and upskilling, and this is the hot word these days online also. There are articles on the HBR, and there are researches also being conducted. What are the new skills? Can you please shed some light there?
Like I said in the beginning, a lot of people are basically looking at iLearn courses which is good. They listen to TED Talks and they listen to iLearn. Now, iLearn is one way, of course, and it is like you read. If you are a thinker, if you are imaginative, you will actually start to become self-aware much more easily. That yes, that person makes a point. Some people, I hear it. For example, it's about behaving well in the company. How do I aggressive and assertiveness? So I might talk about assertiveness and aggressiveness, and you're hearing me at a TED Talk, and you say, yes, that's very important. But you have to be self-aware of whether I should, and self-reflect. Is that like me? Am I aggressive? Am I assertive? And do I take that into account? So that is important. So that aggressiveness and assertiveness is critical from the fact that being self-aware. So for learning yourself while you're doing learns, it is important to have mentoring sessions with people within the organization, outside, how am I doing, and more reflection on yourself. Because you're not going to meet too many people, remember, in the office. People may not give you the feedback also. So it is important for organizations to run these mentoring and coaching sessions also, or one-to sessions. And it could be from colleague to colleague, or you could mentor me. That's called the reverse mentoring. So I can pick up Hassan as my mentor and say, why not tell me about it, because I know you and you know me well. So, that way that you can do that. So self-reflection, self-awareness, talk to your supervisors. That's why the feedback is important on a constant basis, and the constant learning. And then see the relevant subjects. कि मैं किसके ऊपर जाऊं? Communication है, फलाना है, and somebody has to give me a feedback. So that is the self-development that's going to take place quite strongly. And because you will not have classroom training. The other aspect is if I can be involved on a project which is cross-functionally across to other teams, and it will be good that if I'm working with some bigger teams across my entire HR area, into marketing or supply chain, if it's possible, and depends on company to company. But for self-reflection and self-awareness, it's a critical part, and this is the big thing in global concepts, in global aspects. Because once you're self-aware, okay, what I need to do and what I need to do and what people have pointed out, then you would be able to become a better leader, a better follower, and a better manager.
We have a question from Shazib again. It says, how important is it the factor of trust become for a team lead, for leading people?
Yes, trust has always been a very important factor, and I think in today's world, in this COVID environment world, trust is critical, and trust is so important that because you're not seeing each other, so the believing part, and sometimes the employees you will hire, your own team member, will just be on the Zoom, and you might not meet him for the next 3 months. How do I develop the trust? That news has been going around that in Google, a lot of people are hired globally and they never get to see the boss or never get to see the head office, but they are being there. But these are also a different industry, Google. Let's understand the textile industry. Let's understand the banking industry, the pharma industry, where people are working at the plant. As an HR, I'm not going to see them. But as a leader, maybe if I'm in marketing and I have to hire a person in marketing, I might not see him, but we are both working virtually for some time. So how do I develop the trust? And believe me, is that one-to-one discussions, the interest part of the person's talking to the individual other than work, getting to know, the Zoom calls have to be increased upon. And that trust is very important, that this company is important. And make sure that in organizations, it is not just the boss talking. For example, the HR should have a discussion with new employees, get him to be part of some other discussion if it happens. So those kind of things.
Okay. So trust, it's a two-way street. The individual reporting to the boss has also will have to make sure that the communication is clear, the assignments that have been done, and if they're not done, if there's something not being, they're not able to, meet the deadlines, the communication should always be there. But then again, the role of the leader comes in of how to, have and manage and communicate that sort of relationship and manage expectations and the way of work of going forward. I've been talking about the agile way of working. A lot of multinational companies here in Pakistan also have been following this policy, of people being allowed to work from home, probably a couple of days a month. It wasn't allowance, it was there. But I've always, the kind of culture that we have, the boss he's been habitual of having the person right in front of him to see कि हाँ बंदा बैठा है काम करना है मैंने उसको दिया है. So they look busy, they're sitting in front of the screen and they're doing their job. और आपका sales का बंदा है वो यहाँ से गया हुआ है जाके sales करके आ रहा है. Probably अब वो service provide कर रहा है over the phone or over Zoom, just like us. I do all my meetings via Zoom every day. I engage my team through Zoom every day. So that's there. Lekin the onus is on the individual also. कि वो intrinsically उसको motivated होना पड़ेगा. For me, it was easier to come in office, sit in front of the desk. My boss is there, the entire team is there. It's easy. The atmosphere is there. लेकिन जब मैं घर पे हूँ, I have this distraction of my social media on phone में उस पे लग जाता हूँ. घर पे कोई आके बात करना शुरू कर देता है.
Right.
So the intensity of motivation, intrinsic motivation, I believe, should be stronger, more powerful. What do you think about that?
Again, like I said, it's always a two-way, and whether it's COVID environment or non-COVID environment, it is important that the individual takes interest. The self-awareness, it is important. If you are self-aware, you will be able to move forward. And if you are self-aware, then of course you will be able to have the instinct in yourself that this is what I need to take interest in. There are many stories that people have become great from nowhere, and it's only because they have taken the interest. If they just want to wait, the COVID environment has come, I won't be able to do anything. Now my boss is not there all the time. Somebody needs to hold my hand. It won't come. It is the capability, it is the initiative from the individual, the adapting part, the flexibility and the adaptability quickly to a new environment is important. Because if we don't, we will lose out on our own perspective, the business will get lost out, and also that the overall efficiency of the organization. Again, there are a lot of small organizations who are basically also operating, small shopkeepers and all that, and people are coming there, and they are, they are not educated, but at the same time, I see a lot of individuals who are there in smaller firms who take interest on themselves of developing themselves, regardless of the barrier, is the best technique. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. You can come in and go out of the office for the next 25 years, you will do a good job, but you're not going to come out of and grow accordingly. So it's important that you need to develop yourself.
Right. We have a question from Adil Sharif. The question is, how will we ensure performance in this situation? Where people have been communicated and they know okay, there are no bonuses and there is no incentive, in other words, it's not there. So incentive and bonuses being part of, in order for people to, an extrinsic factor to motivate people to enhance their performance, put in more effort. How will we bring that now?
Well, we are looking into, all companies are looking into different KPIs, for example, for the sales or for other people, because sales are driven by the number of units sold, the number of visits, the number of calls that they do. Of course, that is not happening. So how will it happen? Could be that way or perhaps what. So we have to reshape the performance KPIs for everyone. For head office or HR or finance, perhaps by and large the KPIs remain the same, but in a different format. So we looking at the behavioral aspects, it will all be through Zoom now. So that Zoom behavioral will have to be accounted for. Now, I don't see that the people are clear that there will certainly have the good organization, the good practice would be to still have the increments, because if people are working, they need to be given bonuses or increment. The organizations have to also look into this, and I think the good organization would do that. So the increments and the bonuses will be there. But if there is no work at all, and that is again coming back to developing a culture, leadership gets poorer, employees don't take interest, the business does not have efficiency, we lose out on the number of the units sold, and then what happens is that we lose the business, and of course the increment will be determined by the business itself. So the performance has to be really gauged through a question of KPIs, and how KPIs will be reshaped or redone, and the goals are rewritten. And on that basis, the increment will come. And of course, the increment comes because of the sale that will be done by the company. Whether they want to, if you're making a loss, of course you don't make you don't start giving higher increments. There could be a minimum increment, but not much. So the question is, how will we ensure performance in the situation? It is time that we quickly adapt to reshaping and reskilling our people, changing the KPI, learning the digital applications, knowing the psyche of the customers, which is very important. The way that we can reach faster and simpler to the customers, psyche of the customers for everyone. We are all customers to everybody's product. I mean, I have a customer and I'm a customer too, and and somebody is buying from me as well. So we are all related to each other. And therefore, the behavior pattern of customers for each product, each industry has to be studied differently. And this primarily should be done by organizations themselves because they have the better strength. This is where I feel. So performance have to be driven by these four things: the KPIs, the leadership, the in fact, and of course by the customer psyche as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, Zabardast. एक मेरा सवाल. This is our second video for our audience today, live session. I've also been participated in a lot of other sessions. It's going on. One of my favorite programs on BBC is the Hard Talk, and they talk about these issues there. Also, our live videos, other live videos out there. There's a lot of great, amazing content, research-based articles available out there. I don't know. Please tell me if you agree with me. There's this trend, there's this pattern of a message coming in, which is either we talk about leading teams or talking about business or talking to communicating with people, reshaping and reshaping processes, upskilling ourselves. I don't see these words to be new. They were already there. These challenges were already there. It's just that a shift has taken place and we have been pushed to rethink. But if a person is motivated intrinsically to achieve something, usko 2 din lagte hain to get acquainted with Zoom, the software that we're using, StreamYard. It took me 30 minutes. Shazim helped me with it. I made a few calls, spoke to a couple of people on ideas, how to do this, how to do that. Initially, we agreed on having a speaker coming in and having a teaching methodology, but then someone suggested me. So I wanted it. My organization wanted to have a session that engages people. So the motive was there. What do you have to say about it? There's no new problem. I think the problems, the challenges are the same. So what is it so difficult for us?
See, of course, leadership based on your leadership, or whether it's change, or whether the word motivation, or whether the word engagement, smile, they've got to be the same. I mean, every consultant, every leader will use it in a different pattern. And of course, they'll give a trigger thought, and everybody has a story to tell, and that makes the difference. So life has, evolved in the last so many years, even the last 2 decades or 3 decades of, the business going in a different direction with digitalization. Things have changed. We all talk about improving leadership, whether it was digital or manual, or whether it's a factory or a textile, but these things will not change. Of course, change is change. How much can I bring in the new words? And now this environment, what we talk about it, yes, the words will be changed, but the how part of how I lead the people face to face in an environment versus now totally being work from home. How do I do that? Because in normal cases, if an employee joined, I would have said, okay, let's take the team out for coffee and we'll have fun together. So the team bonding is there. Now the team bonding is going to be on Zoom. So we'll be forced to accept this. So the team bonding word is the same, but it's the how part that we are going to bond, and how the leader is going to make them bond. Knowing the psyche of the customer is nothing new. I mean, there's no buzzword, but we have been serving customers. But knowing the psyche of the customer, that how we want to approach him, how he will be acceptable, is more important. Therefore, that is the reason, that is the how part that we're going to look at it. We just talked about environment, the Zoom, our body, our listening, our empathy, our trust. Words are the same, but how much we add on value, the how part. How do I listen more to you? If you were sitting to me in an office and you were listening to me and you were very, casual environment, I would probably be doing my work and I'd be listening to, yes, Hassan, I know that. But now, if I'm even in the same environment and I'm very close as a colleague to you, and I'm sitting there on Zoom, the how part becomes much more different. Because I'm listening, but I have to be very close, because it's going to be 30 minutes specific, and I'm going to be eye on the camera. One camera eye away, and I'm gone, because I'm out of touch. Those are the things and elements that the how part has to be changed. So the change is there, which has always existed, but how and what to change is important. Again, I emphasize leadership is the key aspects of how we can drive our vision, our way of working. So we have to understand everybody. And then the new workforce, which is coming in. A lot of students, unfortunately, are going to join us. So we talk about the orientation of new employees in a day. We talk about onboarding of employee, taking them around the office, introducing to everyone. It's like fun thing, going out, having lunch breaks. Nothing is going to happen. Poor fellows are going to come from an online course, online final examination to an online job, and they will not even see people. So that's another trauma. And suddenly, after 1.5 years, you'll be back in the office, and they said, "Sure, life is like this also." So our flexibility is going to change again, and that's what I feel.
Zabardast, beautiful, beautiful. We have a couple of questions. We have four questions. Let's start with the first one. It says, Muhammad Salman Ali Jamil Saab, he's saying, in this situation, how BCP affect, and what about the critical staff where they're necessary to attend office without cap? How do you manage such staff that has to be there every day?
Yeah, well, okay, this is a very important question for people where essential staff is required. First of all, we would like to follow the guidelines which is provided by the government. And of course, it is always good to see that we follow as per the local guidelines given. We see our global guidelines as well, what our company has seen. We make our own assessment. And every good company, and we also have a business continuation plan or business crisis committees, we do have that. We keep on running it every week. So if people have to come to the office, not the plant, even at the plant, we see who is the essential staff, who's not the essential staff, and we make sure that they are there. In God forbid, if there is someone not well, we make sure that she or he gets quarantined if the result is positive. We're taking all necessary precautions. If the person has to come in as an essential staff, special permission is taken by the crisis committee, and then it's allowed. So we have to continue that crisis plan. But there could be issues, and there are treasury, there are finance, there are payroll, there is IT, there is day-to-day administration work, and then upkeep of the office, running the air conditioning, maintenance, and all that. So those things are required, but key staff has to be accepted. So that is an additional work for people who are part of those committees to make sure. And it's interesting. It's really interesting. So, but we have to keep the laws and as well as the guidelines in line. The entire thing is being done, remember, is for the safety of the people and safety of the employees so that they and their families remain healthy. And this is exactly what our focus is.
Great. Another question from Sayyid Muhammad Saqib. Basically, two questions. The review, performance review frequency, this is what he wants an answer on. And the second question is increase in the salary or organization-wide recognition award certificates.
Okay, I think the first part is the performance. I mentioned this a little earlier, and that was try to have it weekly, or the feedback can be given anytime directly to the employee. When you give a feedback, the employee, there was a reaction. Hamare culture mein likes to get a feedback. Why is he talking to me like that? And we don't tend to give a feedback to improve anyone. Even if somebody is not good, we tend to tell him on his or her face, "Oh, that's fantastic, that's a great job done," because we are afraid, we are shy that the person will retract. And even if we give the feedback, the person becomes very negative or goes down. But how you do it? And if it is being done by your supervisor, and if your supervisor is there, then listen to him or her, even if it's your colleague. So listen to the feedback. So frequency of performance evaluation, don't wait till the end. I mean, basically just try to do it maybe monthly or weekly or review. You don't have to fill up forms. You just have to have a dialogue that how is it going? Okay, last time we didn't do it. Maybe you can document a couple of things just for a person's improvement. And the second question is and of course, formalized performance appraisal is done usually on the year end and the mid-year. Second question, which is better, which is basically awards, certificate, newsletter, announcement. I think that needs to go on more. And even you can have a digital library or a digital place where you can, what do you call, wall of fame, right? So digital wall of fame, people can go there. More congratulations, weekly emails addressing the people in the photograph. So those things will be a lot of appreciations. Salary raise, of course, if the company is making money or less money or whatever it is, the policy the company has, the salary increment everybody's looking at the inflation. So we have to look at the inflation and the merit part. And I think that is important. So both are important, salary and recognition, salary and recognition plus the other awards. Those are spot awards, but those are for people who have done an extra mile. People have worked extra hours over the night or worked in the weekends or saved something differently, come up with a digital application which has saved millions of rupees for the company. Those are spot awards and can be given as part of a performance appraisal as well and for the salaries increase.
Useful piece of information. Thank you. At last but not the least, we have a question from Mr. Kamran. But due to extended lockdown or slowdown to the top line vis-a-vis bottom line has been affected in most of the companies, resulting in additional stress of being a victim of staff rationalization. How to overcome this additional stress?
No doubt, there has been a lot of stress initially, and the stress has also been because initially, all companies said, "Okay, how to handle my employees." So everybody thought that staying on the Zoom calls or having meetings will be productive. Then everybody learned that it's not productive. You have to give flexibility at the time. Now, stress also develops because, like I said, the business leaders could be differently. First is, I'll tell you about the step, but first is leaders need to reshape and rethink and reskill how they handle the employees, how to make the people happy and continue working together on through the Zoom calls. And I keep thinking, and of course, many of the things that I keep still following the same way. And I say, no, this is not the way I should say it. I should say it this way. Second part is if you are getting stressed, even if the environment is okay and the culture, and there is, because of the general environment, the media or the news that you hear from people about people dying or getting infected, of course it is causing stress. Then there is work, of course. One is that do de-stress yourself. Get yourself involved in any hobby or cooking or gardening and go out and enjoy the fresh air. Make a time available for exercise or jog or paint, and do something that you always wanted to do differently in life. If you wanted to, paint something, get some painting and start doing it, cooking or whatever it is. I mean, feel free to do that. And then, of course, if the de-stressing environment is concerned, I think I would only send a message that the leaders have to make sure that the team de-stresses itself through other than work meeting, like you also said, like having musical calls or fun calls or presenting yourself. And the initiative to de-stress is very important, that you yourself take care. And I think if you don't want to attend a call, the bosses should be very, I cannot attend a call, I'm very stressed out. Tell him or her. And I hope they are understanding.
Great, Zabardast. Thank you, Shakeel Saab. Thank you so much for your time, for your valuable information. Topic for the day was, being able to lead the teams and manage processes. You've guided us through all the tips and techniques one should have in these difficult times, especially in the last 3 or 4 months of extreme stress on business. People have psychological stress on how should they conduct their day-to-day jobs, how should they take the business ahead. The leaders are the primary victims of it because they're the captains of the ship, and they have to lead from the front, and they have to take their people together. We spoke about the youths, we spoke about organizational culture, the work format. We discussed a few research survey results also. We talked about taking people on board. We also had a really interesting discussion on performance conversations. This video will be available online after we shut down this online video. This will be available. Please feel free to put your questions and comments there. We'll request Shakeel to answer those later on.
Of course.
Yes, you will be available. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, Shakeel. It was a pleasure being with you. We learned a lot from your experience, and amazing. Great. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your presence. We'll inshallah see you again. Our viewers will see us again on the coming Friday with a new topic, with a new person to add value to our lives. Thank you. Take care. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.